Hello, and welcome back to the Marketing Brief Podcast. I am your host, Brian Aquan. This is the podcast where we briefly discuss marketing topics across the landscape, and we're always joined by an industry expert. And today we are very excited to be joined by Johnnie Lloyd. Welcome in, Johnnie Lloyd.
Well, listen, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited about this topic and being here today because it matters. So I am Johnnie. I am the Mindset Maven, helping you bridge the gap between what you know and what you do. And that gap is not just action, it's mindset. It's because your mindset matters.
Absolutely. Well, we're so excited to be joined today by you, Johnnie. I've been writing a lot about consumer trends for 2026, of which we've identified as authenticity, community and people, and value. And I see a lot of overlap in kind of the work that you do. I know that you wrote a book called Identity First. So maybe that's a good place to start. Do we want to kind of dive in on authenticity and how you define authenticity?
Okay. Authenticity is you knowing who you are, and under pressure, that's how you show up. Your authentic self, not what other people desire you to be, who you were created and designed to be under all of that. Because some people don't know who they are, so they show up like a chameleon. That's not authentic. And just for information out there, guys, chameleons, it's a great thing that they have that they can do, but every time they change according to the environment, what happens is they lose part of their lifespan. So when we show up authentic, then we show up the same way, and people can know, like, and trust us because they know what they're getting when they get us.
Yeah, I agree. So I know in my own experience coming into a new job or with new employees, I often do adopt that chameleon mindset of just like, hey, if I just become who they are, then I'll fit in, people will like me, this will be easier, and then my own self will come out later. Is there a particular way you coach folks to kind of not fall into that trap?
Well, part of it is knowing where you're entering into, and then knowing the value you add when you come in. So that is not you not adding value and sitting back and watching everything happen and being a person who's watching from the sidelines because they're paying you. So you need to be productive, right? So to go in and get in where you fit in, however, knowing the culture and knowing who you are, I know when I step into an organization what I bring. And so the key is I'm listening for how do I bring my brilliance to the table in that situation. And the thing that I have had, maybe nobody else has had this problem, maybe not, right? Is that sometimes when you go into an organization, the first thing you want to do is shrink because you don't want to come in full guns because, you want to make sure everything's okay.
Right.
However, that doesn't mean you're not being authentic.
Okay.
Now, when I come in and shift who I am to fit into someone else's mold, that's when I'm not being authentic. And what happens, the neuroscience part, is my brain ends up feeling like, well, who are you? And we have this congruency of who I am authentically and who I show up as. So it confuses my brain. And it confuses, and I have a bad reaction. So that is the key. So for anybody who's out there, and all of us have done it, walked into a new organization, walked into a new relationship, walked into a new anything, right? Or gotten a new opportunity to step into or learn a new system, that is the key. So I would say being authentic, Brian, is my background operating system. It's my background operating system. It's like the system that works without me even checking to see if it works. Who am I at that level? So that doesn't mean that I won't accept other programming or other information. It means that I know who I am and I know what will corrupt my system.
Gotcha.
Because a system is different than a strategy, and a strategy is different than a process, right? So
you're speaking my language. Absolutely. I love strategy talk. Now, I know more about myself and how to show up authentically from experience, sitting here as a 48-year-old person, knowing myself a little bit better. How do you speak to younger folks in the workplace that maybe don't know as much about themselves to find themselves or to show up authentically?
Well, first of all, they need to know who they are.
Yeah,
Let's talk about identity. It's harder to show up as who you are if you don't know who you are.
sure.
You're not comfortable in your own skin. And I don't mean that in a natural sense, I mean in an authentic arena. So most young people are trying to fit in based on the latest whatever's going on, and they're borrowing someone else's
Yeah.
identity. So when you do that, there are some dynamics that happen that will cause you, in some cases, to be allergic. So, you break out.
Mm-hmm.
I do metaphors, right? And
Yeah.
then some things you eat that you have to throw up because it's not good for your internal system, right? So
Yeah.
the more I walk into a system and I get with young people, I give them questions. I have some programs that I work them through, assessments, real brief, to just find out where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And tell them that there's no wrong answer. And so many times when young people think there's no wrong answer, then I can authentically answer the question, but it is a process. When you've been fed, when you've been eating off the wrong table, and you suddenly, somebody asks you what your thoughts are, it's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So it's that. It's a process of me encouraging them to be them without being because sometimes I've talked to young people and they want to come out with this attitude kind of thing, and
Sure.
that's not what it's about. Being
Like a false
authentic.
confidence.
Yeah, it's not about being mean. It's not about any of that. It's about me knowing who I am, and even when someone does something, and like I tell them, this is what I say: you can't control the 10%, but I can control the 90. The 90
Mm-hmm.
is me. So when you know who you are and what you stand for, then that is the deal. And then the other thing, Brian, I'll say, and you know this better than I, is that right now everybody has a camera and a some kind of phone. So you can act up if you want to.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to take something out, record it, that kind of thing. So my thing is show up, and 10 years from now, when you look back at whatever you just did, does it add value or subtract from you?
Yeah. So show up as if it's being filmed and will be
Yeah.
shown to represent who you are in 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good way to approach it. You mentioned some of these trends of, and I love talking about young people in the workplace, and a lot of our listeners are there. What are some trends that you're seeing happening now that are either things that you have to work against when you're coaching people, or might even be positive trends of young people entering the workforce?
Well, one of the things I'm working with right now, I work with some people who are aging out of foster care. That's one of my
Okay.
spaces that I work with. So because of the trauma they felt, right? And then so I have to help them deal with the fact that let's eliminate excuses, right? And
Yeah.
let's look at this from a no shame, no blame perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do it from a shame or blame perspective, you're either hurting yourself or you're giving someone else your power. And so how do you gather your power back, right? So
Yeah.
one of the trends I'm seeing is how to use AI.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm an AI. I love
All right.
AI. I love AI. However, one of the things that I tell them is when you don't know who you are, you have to be careful in a social environment, because whether it's, whatever, TikTok, whatever, if you don't know who you are, if you don't already have your identity or have some semblance of what your identity is, you can be molded by the things that you go out and reach for. And AI is a great one, because if you don't know who you are and you put questions or whatever, and AI, it'll start giving you feedback. And the next thing you know is you say, okay, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
AI is artificial intelligence. It's not authentic interactions. So you need some authentic interactions, boo. Come on.
Yeah.
And the way that I help them is from, and I know this sounds weird to some people, but from a mother perspective. So most people call me Mama J.
Mama J.
Say, hey, Mama J. And so I get a chance to love as well as, I won't say pop their hands, but let's just say scold a little bit and say, nah, you know better. And they say, oh, I know. And so just to give them the thing to say, regardless of what you do, I'm going to care for you. But that doesn't mean I agree with your actions. That didn't mean that. And so when you're doing AI or whatever system you're working under, make sure it fits with the system of who you are internally. Yeah. Because if you don't know who you are and you start putting things out in the atmosphere, you're going to get something. And if you don't know who you are, then you will receive it as if it's you, and you won't even feel the incongruence of it.
Yeah. I really love that. Well, I love to ask everyone who comes on the pod what's something that they're excited about. This can be in your professional capacity. This can be in your personal capacity. But what's something that Mama J is excited about right now?
Identity First.
The book. Yeah.
Identity First is a 12-book series, and I've only done the flagship.
Okay.
But let me tell you all, I'm excited about it. It's been a work that has been happening over a long time. And what I'm finding is that where most people think they're too late, that their life is, coming to an end. When I say end, I'm not saying death. They've waited too late, or they're behind, or whatever, because they're comparing themselves to others. Identity First helps them to recognize, and it's a different cadence in the book. It's a different cadence about how our brain functions. So it taps into their brain and helps them work with their brain. Because our brain was there to protect. So when there's incongruence, our brain is looking for truth, but our brain doesn't know the truth from a lie. So the more I feed it of whatever I'm feeding it, it starts looking for that thing. So Identity First helps us with that. And when I say I'm excited for me, first of all, because I had to go through the whole thing, right? And it helped me be more comfortable because identity is not a destination, it's a journey.
That's great.
And the same thing with being authentic. It's a journey, because the more you know you, the more you start saying, this is a boundary. I don't know why this doesn't feel good to me, because you deal with your instincts. So that's helping people do that. And it's from a wealth perspective. It's from a health perspective. All of those things. Not who does the world say that I am. Who do I say that I am? Yeah. People taking their power back. So that is the thing that I'm most excited about, in case you haven't.
I'm picking up on that. I love it, though. I mean, authenticity is something I write a lot about. I think we're living in an increasingly inauthentic world. I think AI is just going to perpetuate that. And that's what's going to shine through, right? Human-to-human interactions. People can tell when you're authentic. They reward when you're authentic. So I really love this work you're doing. I'm excited about this 12-book series.
Thank you. But yeah, I am too. And I love the fact that authenticity to me is part of an operating system. Right? We talked about that.
Yeah.
And clarity needs to be built in advance. And I saw all your marketing and all the work that you've done in that field. And I'm sure when you look at AI, you're looking at it and saying, whoa.
Every day.
It's like, wait a minute, right? And so with all of this that's happening, I just really would like to encourage people and ask you a question, because the key is they keep on talking about people losing everything because of AI. And I don't believe that's true. Am I living in an alternative reality, Brian?
No.
Or am I okay?
I don't think you're not. And what really resonates with me is that idea of being left behind that you deal with a lot. And I deal with that personally, because things move very quickly. We see things happen in social media of just like, oh, this life that I wanted is happening to everybody else, but it's not happening to me. So I think that's something a lot of people can resonate with. And I love that you're trying to break through there. It's something I'm going to continue to work on, right? I always want to have to continue to work on feeling like I'm up to speed and feeling like I'm bringing my authentic self to every interaction I have, not just professionally, but also personally. Yeah, thank you very much. I really enjoyed this conversation with you, Mama J. How do people get in touch with you? How do people get your book, Identity First?
Okay, it's easy, and I'll make sure I provide you a link. There's a free 15-page guide that I provide on my Stand store. And that's to ensure. I loved it so much that I want to give part of it away, right? So
Yeah.
that's a quick introduction of it. However, it's on Amazon. Identity First by Johnnie Lloyd is on Amazon.
Great.
And it's also, I have johnnielloyd.com. You can reach out and connect with me that way as well. And it's just really a pleasure to be here.
That's awesome. And that's Johnnie, Johnnie, Lloyd with 2 L's.
Yeah.
Awesome. It was really great to have you as a guest.
Thank you.
This has been a brief conversation on the Marketing Brief with your host, Brian Aquan. Stay curious, everyone.